right, here we go. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to Elite Physique University. I'm John Gorman, your host, with a very chipper and happy Jason Theobald. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well.
Don't downplay it. You're smiling bigger than shit right now. I
Yeah.
know you're feeling a lot better than you were on our last episode.
That is true. Uh, I still have like some adrenal issues. I'm not gonna lie. Like I kicked ass. I've only been training like every other day. The first day sucked. Yesterday was badass, but then today, like I had to take a nap. So like I'm not recovered fully, but I feel way better for sure.
Yeah, I remember that last one we recorded. Dude, you're just tired. It took everything you could. I mean, but that's the nature of it. You know you're lean enough when you feel like that. And
I feel like
we'll yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But before, we've got something important to talk about. We've got our Elite Physique University seminar in Tampa, but it's also offered as a live stream. I want to touch base on that. You guys can check the link out in the show notes. We still have tickets available, especially if you want to do a live stream option. But real quick, we're getting a lot of people that have questions on the topic. So I want to go through that. You're teaching too, Dr. Bill Campbell's teaching too, and I'm teaching too.
yeah.
Let's talk about the live stream. So if you're not able to make it in person, we get that. You're going to have the live stream option. And the cool thing about that is, even if you can't watch it live, you buy the ticket and say you have somebody, I've got coaches that have people competing that day. They can't watch Saturday, right? Well, they're going to have the recording. You guys are going to have this saved. It will always be yours. You'll have access to it for life, basically. So even if you can't watch it exactly on time, then you'll still be able to have it. So it's a great option to have. This whole seminar weekend is going to be a recording for you. Tuning in live is awesome because you can ask questions, and Sammy Jo, the girl that's doing the live feed, she'll be able to ask questions that come through, and we'll be able to interact that way. But regardless, you guys are going to have access to that. Now, Jason, let's talk about the weekend, the Saturday and Sunday. Let's go over some of these classes. Let's go over the two that Dr. Bill Campbell's doing. The first one is rapid fat loss. Does it cause muscle loss? And this is something cool because he's actually done the research in the lab himself. And I don't know how much experience you have with rapid fat loss when it comes to someone in the off season doing like a quick, hard 3-4 week cut, but he's got the actual data on this. So that's going to be kind of fun. Have you dabbled in that much?
Not a ton. I mean, I did it for Tampa myself last year. But I might be a little bit different demographic than what he was testing on, but not a ton. I mean, I do put people into 4 or 5 week cuts, but I don't know how aggressive he was going compared to what I do.
Yeah, pretty aggressive compared to what I think you and I would do.
Yeah.
So it's perfect for a fat ass like me. But I think there's something here that we can all learn from when it comes to the data, because if you're a coach like me and Jason, we take stuff like this and we think about it. We might apply some here and there. So it's good information. And the other one that he's going to do is the science of diet breaks. And that's kind of cool. And this is, I think, going to be the most fun of all because he's done the research on it. You and I have employed these numerous times in different situations, either with yourself, myself, or our clients. That's going to be a good one. And then my two classes are advanced muscle building strategies. And that's not just going to be talking about, hey, train your body parts twice a week. This is going to be a very, very advanced class on where I really go into the details on all the little things I do to help somebody that needs to add just a little bit of muscle here or there that's been training 15 years. Or even if you're new, it's going to be these advanced strategies. And then my other class is going to be understanding insulin sensitivity and cortisol's impact on calories in and calories out. I've never given this class. But it's probably going to be the most important one I think I ever give besides metabolic adaptation. So that one's going to be really good in understanding that. Jason, let's go into yours.
Yeah.
The first one we've got here is PCOS, how to spot it on labs and coach those that have it.
Yeah.
I think this is people hear PCOS and they don't really understand what it is. But there's a lot of times to where people need to be able to actually understand what to do when you have a PCOS client. This is going to be the full gamut, correct?
Yeah, so I'm going to go over the 4 major types that we will see. And I'll obviously spell out the one that you're going to see the most. And then I'm going to give some strategies on, what you do with your diet. What do you do with their training? What do you do with supplementation, and walk them through it to pretty much, you know, fix it up and get them back to a spot where they can build, cut, and, you know, kind of just go from there in the healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one because, you know, if you're a coach or trainer out there listening, you're going to have someone come to you. Now, you're not going to get 50 people with PCOS, but you're going to have women come to you that have this, and you have to know how to address this because it's way different. I just prepped someone. Her name's Corey Beth. She has PCOS, and I had to prep her, and she got to her best ever. She actually won a natural pro card. And dude, I did everything fucking backwards from what I always normally do with a female. So it was really interesting. I'm really curious to see what your class points out because I know I have a lot to learn when it comes to PCOS. And then finally, to me, this will be the last one of the weekend. Probably the most important one of all of them for people is going to be metabolic adaptations and hormonal dysfunction part 2. The client is healthy, now what? So kind of talk about this part 2 class to what you've been teaching on hormones.
So in part 1, you know, I went over like, what are we seeing a lot of right now? A lot of hypothalamic amenorrhea, you know, estrogen dominance, insulin sensitivity issues, just a lot of different metabolic issues mixed with hormone issues. And so in part 1, I kind of gave strategies to kind of deal with it and kind of get the lab back in line. It was already a 3-hour course. So now I'm kind of reiterating. I go over, you know, what were some of the main things we see that are problems. And then I touch on and give you protocols of how to diet these people. You know, it might differ if someone's HRT versus going at it in that natural way. And so I'm going to give you those different types of things, like how long should you diet them? What should you look for in terms of now pulling back? Things of that nature. What type of supplements will help support the cut longer to not put them back into a situation like that? So that is what that will generally speak to.
And a lot of people have noticed that we named this Elite Physique University Seminar Phase 2. And they thought, well, if I didn't go to Phase 1, should I not attend? And no, actually, you that's not a problem at all, is what I'm saying. If you've been listening to our podcast, you know enough by listening to all the episodes we've done on cortisol and how to read labs and all that stuff. You guys are more than welcome to come to Phase 2. You don't have to go to Phase 1. It's just a continuation, really, of our seminars before and of our podcast. This whole 67, 68 episode series, we've covered pretty much everything. So this is a nice way to get into Phase 2 so anyone can show up. You're not going to be left in the dark. We're going to train a couple days at Powerhouse. We do have one super VIP ticket left. If you guys want that, you get a nice New Ethics and Fat Muscle supplement package. You get a private Q&A with me and Jason and Bill. It's going to be a fun time, guys. Check out the show notes if you want to get signed up. And I think that's enough housekeeping, man. Let's get into the show. This
Sounds good.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one for me because, man, the Kentucky Pro, I know, is the Kentucky shows, period, in general, are shows that are kind of near and dear to you. You've been around these shows for a long time. Has it always been a pro show, by the way? When did it?
No, well, so it was always a pro figure. So it was an amateur show that was really difficult. It's a regional show, always a qualifier. The best physiques come out, you know, they're, you know, vying to, you know, get into the national scene. And they had pro figure. In 2018, when I did it, was the first year that he added classic physique. He took 2 years off from that, and now we brought it back. And he told me backstage he was going to have it in 2022, and he expected me to be there, but we will see about that.
Okay, so when you won it in 2013 as a middleweight, when you won your class there, it was just pro figure.
That was, they only had pro figure, and that was just amateur bodybuilding.
Okay, gotcha. So let's talk about things. If you guys want to, go back and listen to episode, I believe it's 66, where we talked about your prep for the San Antonio Pro. Coming off that show, let's talk about the feedback that you got from the judges. And you also have other people around you that give you feedback. Let's talk about that for a second.
Sure.
What was the feedback you got from judges, in like people that saw you in person? I know pictures are different, but what was that first set of feedback like?
They said I was shredded, that I came in too flat, and I needed more fullness, especially in my legs. And, you know, basically it was that you've got enough conditioning, come in forward. And then, but, you know, I still had a couple other people saying the only reason you got top 5 is because of how shredded you are. Don't play the fullness game. But you know what? I mean, I wanted to try to do what the judges said. I knew in my heart of hearts that my legs were just down in size, and there was only so much you can do in 3 weeks. So to me, they said fuller, but I really think at the end of the day, it was just you need more muscle. You know what I mean? So I really probably should have just tried to get even tighter, even if I dropped more weight and, was still small on the legs, just come in diced. But that's 2020, right? I wanted to do what the judges said, and especially, I didn't know if the judge I talked to was going to be there. I didn't want to just slough it off. And he's right. I need to be fuller, but it's got to come from muscle. Like, there was nothing I could really do in terms. I mean, I got myself a little fuller, but the legs were still down. Like, I'm just being honest with myself. Like, I had no problem critiquing my physique. And they used to be one of my strong points, and they just were not.
Yeah. So let's talk about understanding judges' feedback. And this is for our listeners, basically. Sometimes people, and I have this written down in the show notes, and I had a client that just competed last weekend. The judges said, you need to be fuller. I loaded the dog shit out of him on a Thursday. Like, he was as full as he could be. Now he weighed 145 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So what I told him was, no, you were pumped, you were full, you had plenty of water and all that. You need more size. You need more muscle size. So a lot of people that compete and they don't really understand, they haven't been around. What are some of the things that you hear from your clients that compete and they get these judges' feedback that come to them, but they don't really understand how to read between the lines, so to speak?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think the full one is the major one. Maybe my brain's still not clicking here, but that's probably the major one. They'll say, well, you need to be fuller, and then I'll get a picture where they went out and had a cheeseburger, and, they'll send me their best shot. And I'm like, well, how did your hands and glutes look after that?
Right.
Send me, I didn't really take a pic. And I'm like, well, then I don't really know that that's their strategy here. You look pretty damn good. So the full versus, that's a lot.
I hear this a lot. And I think sometimes this is just judges probably shouldn't say some of the things they say, but sometimes they'll say, oh, it looked like you were watered over. Or honestly usually means you just need to be fucking leaner. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I always tell my people, I'm like, hey, like we'll get good feedback, but take the judges' comments and we'll try and read between those lines. You also have other people around you too that I know you send pictures to. How crucial is that for you to rely on? Is it hard for you to stay out of your own head when you start getting real close?
It used to not be, but I'll be honest, this one was hard. It was just a hard prep for me. Not all of them are. Tampa was easy, but again, it was only 4 weeks. I don't remember 2018 being that difficult. I don't know. So it helps to have feedback. It's just one of those things where I don't know. It was just a hard prep for me. So did it help having feedback? Yeah. Did I just feel off the whole prep? Yeah. And I'm not making excuses. I mean, I laid an egg. I sucked in Kentucky. I'm not trying to make any excuses. I'm just telling you, it was a hard prep for me. We can delve into psychology of why, but I'm just telling you, it wasn't a smooth sailing as they usually are.
Yeah. Let me ask you a tough question. This is something that I've often wondered about, and I'm probably the same way, even though I haven't prepped in a long time. Do you feel like at this point, so much and you've been doing it so long? Sometimes when people know so much, it's really hard to settle on one thing because 5 different fucking ways to skin the cat, so to speak. Start at the head or start at the tail or start at the middle. And there's so many different ways to get from A to Z. Sometimes do you feel like so much that it literally makes it hard to settle on one thing? Is that tough for you? Some people can just dial it right in. I'm just curious on how you are.
Not really. I mean, I did play with some things and some different peds that I probably really just didn't need to do, but that's just probably boredom, let's see what this does, maybe I've been doing it too long. So a coach would have kept me from probably doing stuff like that. But it really just comes down to enjoyment. I'm not sure I enjoy the suffering anymore. To get to that, where you got to fixate on your ass and your low back and all this bullshit, I just don't know that I care. I'm just being completely honest. I love how I look in the off season usually. So for me, it was like, you know, you drop 3% and you got to feel like dick for 11 weeks. Is it really worth it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I think when I was young, I never liked my physique, and I did when I got shredded, you know? So it was like, oh, let's grind, let's get this. Now I like it year round. It's kind of like, I don't even know I really like being that lean. I kind of like being full in the way I looked before. So I'm doing all this work for fucking what? And I knew my legs were down. So it's hard to push and really suffer when you know you're not bringing what you feel is going to be a winning physique. Honestly, if I was probably talking to one of my clients, I would have said, you're not ready to prep. But my ego said, you can figure it out. You know, you can eat more than a lot of people. You'll be able to fill out and grow into the show. Well, then I used those steps, and I just don't think that helps. So it ate more legs away. Usually when I prep, I lay around, I do some HIIT, and I eat a little bit less, and I get in shape, and you know, it seems to work. My legs come about. It didn't work this year. So I don't know. You know, there was just a lot of thoughts in psychology going through it, you know. So it was harder to suffer when you don't feel like you have all the tools you need to win.
Yeah, I hear you. It is so as we're going through this, I'm kind of just freestyling here. Learning points, or maybe something that you brought in different. So you did steps this time and you never really done that before. Do you feel now that you've done it yourself? Cause I know I'm the same way. We like to do things before we go out and have a whole bunch of people do it at scale. Do you like the step mentality? Would you go back and change that? What are your thoughts on that? You said that you felt like your legs maybe could have benefited from not getting so many steps.
I will never prep that way again. I think some people can. I bet it works well more for women who get beat down by HIIT more. But you know, me, I can do HIIT daily if it's just 5 intervals and I lay around most of the day. And I feel like when I would do the HIIT on the bike, it would actually bring my legs bigger, because in 2018, I got pictures. They were fucking massive, as big as my thighs at 9 weeks out. They didn't look like that in the off season. So they were growing into the show. So I thought, well, you know, they're down a bit in size, but I'll be able, you know, my ego is like, you know what you're doing. You'll be able to grow once you do this, once you do that. But it just never came about. And then I chose steps, and man, it just started chewing them. And by the time I really, you know, was honest with myself, it was almost too late. You know, I changed it, but it just, you know.
Yeah. You know, the interesting thing there is the research, and I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, so I keep us going. The research does indicate what you just said. And then we see that in the trenches, you know, just riding the bike, or especially bike HIIT, isn't as catabolic as things like running or lots of walking, because of all the eccentric damage, and the legs just seem to melt down and lose muscle with running and lots of walking versus using the bike. And HIIT's pretty anabolic. I mean, it causes protein synthesis to turn on and actually causes some growth. So it's one of those things I see my clients be able to hold on to muscle in their legs if they do some HIIT, but they're doing a little bit of everything.
I posted a 2018 front lat. I think I was about 8 weeks out. I mean, literally my quads were as big as my waist, you know, and that's the year I almost went to Olympia. So these guys are just too big, too fucking good. I also was down to 175 in the morning. Well, my cutoff was 185. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to really compete, you got to be 185 in the morning and starve in all day. I mean, these guys were barely making weight. You know, some of them had to get off the scale and go do some other shit. I mean, I'm weighing it with my clothes on and still, you know, 180. Yeah. And the top 5 of the Kentucky, every one of them was over 200 pounds that was pulled out. Jesus. Some of them were 240. They were big fucking boys, man. So, you know, I got a lot to consider. You know I want to get my legs back, and I know I will. But I don't really know that I will care to push all that size on. I have to see how it suits my health and health markers. A lot of times when I push anymore at this age, my CRP goes up. I'm actually going to get a CT scan and echo just to see where I'm at health-wise. Not because I think there's anything wrong, but because, I mean, look at our industry, man. People are dropping left and right, and it's just not that. It's part of me, but man, like, I like to go to nice dinners. I like to travel. I like to go to the beach, and I've got a life now that sets that up. So, man, I'd be pretty pissed if I, you know, didn't bow out on time just for ego. So
Yeah, no, I get it 100%. This show was close, so you just drove in. You made weight. Did you have to weigh in the evening, in the morning?
it was 4 p.m. But like I told you, I mean, I got up at 176. I already had 300 carbs in.
Yeah.
And I weighed in right at 181, and I had some shorts and a tank top on.
Okay. What'd you do to load? I take it you loaded on
The
Friday.
first few meals, I had some gluten-free pancakes, and then I had some core. Then we got to the hotel, and they didn't have a microwave, and I did some Pop-Tarts just to hold me while Aria went and got a microwave. Well, then we had a snafu with the microwave, and she got back. It was broken. So the Pop-Tarts were sitting well with me. So I did those way longer than I had planned, but they were going through me fast. I wasn't bloating. I don't think it all mattered, but that obviously can cause more inflammation, having the sugar. Was I as hard at the as in San Antonio? Definitely not, but I already had determined I was going to go in fuller. So I don't know. I could it have affected me? Maybe. But that's how I ended up loading most of my meals, with just using Pop-Tarts and a little bit of Iso Perfect.
Yeah. Would you hit about 600 carbs or
It
so?
was about 600. Yeah.
What about water? Would you get in there 2 gallons?
Probably about 2 gallons, gallon and a half.
Yeah.
It was about a gallon and a half.
When you woke up the next day, how'd you look when you woke up?
Front was crisp. Side leg, I had some nice lines in my glutes on the side chest shots. Those weren't as deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think maybe just a little bit of spill there?
Yeah, definitely.
So what'd you do this day of the show, what'd you do leading up to stage to help clean any of that up?
I just went protein and fats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let it move. Yeah.
And then I tried to pump up I got there about an hour early and just tried to start pumping up. I don't know if it helped a ton. Like I said, I mean, maybe if I was at my 2018 peeled, maybe I would have cracked the top 5. I don't know, man, but I wasn't going to win that show no matter what with the package I had. I mean, these guys are way too good. Peter Ballner showed up. I mean, the dude is on a different level. I mean, he's got clavicles out to the freaking side of the room. His chest is massive. He doesn't even barely pump up backstage. Just stands around, smiles, and gets out there. Doesn't look like he's posing hard. Right. I mean, it's like the dude was born to be a bodybuilder, and I was not. And I'm just trying to, do the best I can. And I've taken my genetics pretty far. But man, you look at those guys, and you're just like, fuck. At some point you got to realize this is a genetic-driven sport, and you can only take so much gear. You can only do so much with what you're given. So, that's no excuse. I'm just being fucking honest with myself and everyone out there.
Yeah. And I think people would do better if they had a little bit more of that, to be honest. I've got quite a few people, natural pros, that are competing. I have like 6 doing worlds here next weekend. And I had a couple of them pull out, and we just had some real talk. Say, hey, you're just not there yet. You're just not fucking there. You need more time. You need to grow, or you don't have the same genetic potential. Now I'm talking about people that are asking me if they're going to place top 3, right? Or if they're trying to place in these different areas. And this is totally different from this is different from you in the IFBB Pro show you just did. I'm just saying, I think people need to hear that or be honest with themselves a little bit more. And I know as a coach, you're like that.
Being honest with myself, man.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people like that. They're on Instagram and they call their name King and they call themselves the best. And I'm like, there's always someone fucking better, man. And, maybe it's just because I did have to struggle so much. I mean, I didn't go pro till I was 38, but I always look at my physique. And when I'm getting ready for a show, unfortunately, those voices in my head just kick in and every weakness is amplified. When I'm off season, I don't really think that way. I'm like, normally I walk into a gym, and this is not me being conceited, but I'm usually the best built guy or one up, but also I'm not training out at, Bev's or, some of these other gyms. I wouldn't be there. But, you get up on stage with these guys. I mean, guys are flying in from Hungary. Guys are from all over. It's a different ball game. So I don't have any regrets. I mean, I went for the fullness. I knew it could backfire. I was in good spirits the next day. And, I am going to bring my legs back up just because I'm a bodybuilder and I want to be balanced. But I don't know that I'll ever compete again. And,
I've got a really good question for you, but I'm going to hold that until the very end. Let's talk about the importance of healing post show before
Yeah.
you try and push new growth. Obviously you're going to do it the right way, but talk about the importance of that week after the show. I have my clients deload a lot of times, but I'm going to shift this to you. I don't want to give my feedback. What are you doing post show for a week or 10 days, or however long, and why is that important?
So I mean, you know how wrecked I was in some of our pods. So I know right now is not a time for me to push. After I did Tampa, I pushed because I felt good. I have a client who won, what did he win? North Americans? Fuck, I don't know. Middleweight. He felt great. I mean, and he was peeled, but he felt great. So we pushed. And man, he's up to 194 and fucking ripped and looks like he can step on stage as a light heavy or, well, as a pro in the 212 now. For me, my adrenals are down. I use some Clean. I'm sleeping a lot. So for me right now, I'm running HCG, Clomid, just trying to, stay off, no pets, just kind of resend those signals. I'm eating more food. My training sessions have been shorter. I thought about not training, but I'll be honest with you, it just doesn't make me happy. So I'd rather go in and just train shorter, less sets. I think I only did like 6 sets for chest, 6 for, a few other body parts. So it's important to listen to your body, but I don't want to sit here and say everybody has to rest post show. There are some people that feel great, and it is a good time to grow if you feel good. But for me right now, I'm kind of just taking my time, refueling the body, getting lots of food in, and I'm trying to fix my adrenals. I think that's the main issue for me right now is adrenals. And then, get some hormones right. My SHBG always tanks. So more fats, staying, off peds, things like that. But yeah, it's different for everyone, but you gotta assess how you feel.
Yeah. I know there's so many people, especially when they first start out, it's really hard for me as a coach to get them to chill out and deload the next week.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are having a hard time not stuffing their fucking face, which when you're a newbie, that's part of it. So you think, fuck, I need to go train. And
I have not been perfect, but let's not mix words there. I've had some meals for sure, but I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about the fucking binge eat every night for a week type situations.
Yeah. Where they just can't stop.
Yeah. So
I at least grab my shit and put it on a plate and then walk away.
Yeah. By the way, what is your weight? If you were 175 waking up, what are you
175 waking up. Today I was 182 and a half.
Okay. Yeah, that's not too awful bad.
No.
Still lean as hell. So finally, the last question for you, and I know you because I've known you for a long time. I think you'll get back on stage. I don't know. Ultimately, you'll pick that back. You'll decide, but I think you'll get that fire. At least I hope you do, if it makes you happy. But my question for you is, and this is a tough one because you just got done with a pretty hard prep. Bodybuilding to you right now, what is it? Because there's competitive bodybuilding and there's bodybuilding, because I think there's a lot of people that put so much on their placings and whether they placed high enough where they want to be or their image of a competitive bodybuilder. And I see people like you that are very, very competitive, but you've built a multi-million-dollar business. I mean, here's the other thing. I haven't fucking been on stage since 2010, fucking hit 7 figures. I don't fucking compete. But my point is there's 2 different people there, right? Me and you, and there's other people like that. What is bodybuilding to you right now, at least for the next year or 2? How are you looking at it?
It's something that I need to be structured and to be disciplined, but it is not at the top of my forefront. Yeah. But it's one of those things that I think it sets the tone for my day and who I am. And so it's nothing that will ever disappear from my life. Like, I don't understand those pros who were built like a freaking badass and then they just stopped completely and they got man boobs. Like, I don't ever plan to be that person. But it is down on the totem pole, but it's still something that I need to work towards every day, to have the kind of structure, I think, and to be even the businessman, father, and just the person I am. I think without it, I would be searching for something, but I don't need the stage.
Yeah, I love it. You know, I sit there and I think about your journey over the years, you know, getting on stage as an amateur and then winning your pro card and stepping on stage as a pro, and kind of checking those boxes. But to see what you've built over the years, and I'm not talking about your physique, I'm talking about with your businesses and how many people you get to speak to and that you've taught and the amount of money that you're making, you just continue to grow and develop supplements and all these different things. Dude, they're all tied to fucking bodybuilding. And I'm not talking about competitive. I'm talking about you building your physique. So, you know, a lot of people out there, they want to see how to become super successful outside of bodybuilding. It's the fucking, to me, it's the basis of everything that you've done. It's all been the basis, right?
Yes, 100%. And it will continue to be. But I don't know at the moment, and I don't have to make any decisions right now. I can tell you 100%. I believe the legs are a product of the knees hurting and being down, but let's say they don't respond, I'll never get back on stage. I will never get back on stage being a half complete bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Because totally. I can't then do the suffering as well as I need to. I have to know that I stand a chance. And I just kind of knew in my heart that, like, as good as these guys are, it just wasn't going to materialize no matter what I brought. And so it was a tough prep mentally for that.
Totally get it, man. We're going to wrap this episode up, but I want those of you that did buy a super VIP ticket that you're training with Jason, don't think he's not going to whoop your ass up in Tampa whenever you guys train together. So, you know, maybe you guys will train legs. Maybe he's going to be like, all right, that's it.
I would assume by then I'll be in full swing. Like I said, even if I'm never getting on stage again, I'm going to be training hard. So,
yeah, at the time of this recording, we're somewhere around 4 weeks out. By the time this lands, it'll probably be 3 weeks out. So you guys get your tickets, check out the show notes. This is a fun episode, man. It's been fun to kind of watch your journey and see the different stages of you as a competitor. But I'm really excited just to see kind of what you do outside of competing over the next couple of years, because I think that's going to come back. I do. I think at some point you'll want to. We're all getting older. Let's see, you're 44, right?
I'll be 44 in January.
Yeah, you'll check that 50-year-old box and you'll be like, fuck this, I'm fucking going to do it. So who knows? You have anything else to add, man? Anything that we left out?
I don't think so, man. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to kind of wrap it up. And I look forward to kind of moving us forward and just kind of coming up with other episodes to educate everyone.
Yeah, we've got some really good stuff coming out. I've got a nice list of people now that we're starting to get towards the end of the year. We're going to have a lot of guests on. If you guys ever want to hear anyone on the show, or you have questions, any kind of feedback, just hit me up. My email and Jason's both is in the show notes. But dude, we're going to wrap it up. Go enjoy some nice weather while we can, because it's about to get cold.
Yeah,
so
I got a sushi date here and going to go get some good food. Who knows? Maybe I'll get a milkshake after. We'll see.
There you go, man. Just make sure you take the glucose disposal.
That's right. Double it up.
All right. For myself and Jason, we're out here. Thanks, guys.
Okay.